what does your health have to do with your finances? And what does your finances have to do with the Transamerica pyramid scheme? Well, we're going to cover that in today's video in part two. So stay tuned and don't go anywhere. Hey, this is Lance McGowan with Essential Oils Me, and I have my friend here, Tanner Fergard, and he is in the financial services industry, and we're just going to chat a little bit about one of the questions that we get. So, hey, how are you?
Good. How are you, Lance?
Doing awesome.
So it's always a pleasure to see you.
It's always good. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. And okay, so one of the claims that comes up is basically it says, or somebody says, pyramid schemes eventually implode when they run out of new victims to recruit. The scheme continues as the company expands to new markets. As a result, it can take some time for the company to implode. The company needs new recruits every year to sustain its growth, because so many people quit each year. And when I hear that, I mean, the first thing I think of is customer acquisition and customer retention are a part of every business. It's not just a company in the financial services realm, or I mean that's brick and mortars, that's franchises, that's corporations. That it takes money to advertise, or it costs time in order to build relationships and network with people to acquire them as a customer, because they see the value in it, they see the benefits, they know, like, and trust you. And then on top of that, retention is the name of the game. And if the customer or person feels ignored, neglected, or done wrong by, then they're not going to stay with the company and continue to buy it, And so whatever that looks like, it's not just financial services, it's all companies. And I think that principle is almost siloed because we're looking at one company, but at the same time, I believe the principle applies to all companies.
Absolutely. What I always tell people is the business that pays is the business that stays. When you have a happy client, that's satisfied with every aspect, chances are, yeah, they might go and tell a couple people about their experience. They might even leave a good Yelp review or something along those lines, right? But have you ever had like just bad service somewhere? You go to a restaurant and it's just the worst you've ever had. How quick are you to be leaving a comment or to be just pushing something out there just because you want to be heard, right? And that's what I've really seen, where bad news travels 10 times faster than any good news. And a lot of times when you're satisfied and you just have the most pleasant experience, most of the time you just leave it at that. You talk to people about your experience, and then you just keep coming back yourself. And that's why it's always about what are they trying to accomplish. And that's where I love your aspect and your approach on taking the educational approach with educating people about health, the importance of it, and what it could do for their quality of life. That's the same approach that I take whenever I'm sitting down with an individual and we're looking over building a strategy for them, is making sure that first we're educating, and second we're implementing what we educate.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times we think like a waffle and we compartmentalize, but when you look at the Clark County School District here in Las Vegas, Nevada, there is a huge need for teachers. There's like 50% dropout rate for high school students. So clearly our educational system locally is not working, but yet there's people all over the US coming in and being paid to be a teacher and then leaving it because it's tough. It's tough to build relationships with students. It's tough to get them to do stuff if they don't have a good family or home life. Their dad's not there, or their mom doesn't support them, or there's a lot of homeless kids. There's a lot of kids who don't even get to eat food. And so, but does that make the Clark County School District a pyramid scheme? Right? I mean, does that make it a pyramid scheme because it's supposed to focus on recruiting? And yes, there's no sales aspect, but they still have, performance measurements, standardized tests that they have to meet, and there's still an exchange of money going on. Like the state has to pay these teachers to teach, and it costs money to recruit, whether they're out of state or locally. And so, I mean, I know your mom was involved with that. I mean, so with regards to like teaching and all that, I mean, could you talk a little bit about that as well? Like,
absolutely. My mom's been an educator for several years. My dad as well. My dad taught more at the institution as far as a trade school aspect, and my mom actually in the district itself. So I've seen kind of both sides. And when you're talking about utilizing a university, or once you get even out of the high school level, that's where you are paying. You're paying for the classes, you're paying for the supplies, or you're getting, you either have a grant or scholarship or someone helping you to compensate for those costs. But it's all the same thing. There is a product and you're purchasing it. Now, whether or not you're utilizing what you get, I mean, I'm sure you've come across this all the time where you see people with college degrees, they did all these 4, 8 years of college, and then they're working at McDonald's or they're just a server because they can't get in the industry that they actually studied.
Yeah, they're usually like, I think the term is like overemployed, so they've got a college degree, but they're working at something that didn't need a college degree, and they may have gotten a college degree because their parents pushed them or there were social pressures or whatever, where they may have had a better fit by not going to college and not getting in all that debt. Like, I'm a fan for people to go to school and get education, but not if you're just going to do something that doesn't need it. There's other routes. There's trade school, there's entrepreneurship, there's lots of routes that you can go besides, being a 9 to 5 cubicle worker or not utilizing your college education to do something like that. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of options, but I think when it comes to this claim of, recruiting and something imploding, I think it's been debunked because you'd have to apply that same principle if you're being objective to so many other industries and then basically call school systems and all these other businesses pyramid schemes as well. And they're not. I think there's a few things that we have to keep in mind. We have to look at the individual that we've been interacting with and whether or not that bad apple or good apple is tarnishing the rest of the things, such as the product or services being offered or even the company. And so we need to do our research and not let one individual kind of ruin it for us. And then at the same time, we also need to build in more perspective and understand that we have to have all the information, we have to have accurate information, and we have to interpret all those properly in order to come to an accurate conclusion. And if we don't, then we're going to come to a false conclusion. And so I think all of that is just what helps me see something as legitimate and completely kind of debunks this whole thing. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Great, fully.
Okay, cool. Well, that concludes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click the subscribe button so you can catch more videos like this one, or click one of the links in the description box below so you can continue to get your learn on.
And please let us know if you have any comments or questions about this matter.